So hello guys, welcome to the new video which is compiler inferred generic constraint. So I have created a method here print which is of type T. I am passing the T obj and I am just printing console.writeLine of obj. Now if you see here, I am calling this print method by passing string or boolean, passing the string and boolean here, and I am getting the output as Anurag and true. But what if I omit this string and boolean? If you see here, I have omitted the string and boolean constraint. I'm going to get exactly the same output, that is Anurag and true, because compiler is going to infer it as a string, it is going to infer it as a boolean. Now let's see one more constraint, that is new. So I've created three classes here, class A, class B, class C. Class A is not having any constructor at all, so by default it is going to have a public parameterless constructor. So it will be public A. So by default I am going to have a public parameterless constructor. Class B is having a constructor, but that is not parameterless constructor, but that is parameterized constructor, and class C is having a private constructor here. So public parameterless constructor is not there in class B and not even in class C. Now I am creating a class generic constraint by CTOR of type T. I am putting a constraint new here, and I am creating a method new obj, and I am just returning a new of T here. Now when I create an object of this particular constraint by CTOR class and I am passing A here, can I create this new obj? Yes, absolutely I can create, because whenever I put a new constraint here, it expects the class which you are passing, that should have a public parameterless constructor. Because I am passing A here, so A doesn't have any constructor at all, so by default the public parameterless constructor will be there here. So this works. But what if I pass B or C? Because it is already having a parameterized constructor and here private constructor is there, so there is no public parameterless constructor in class B, not even in class C. So this is not going to work, it is going to give me a compile time error, and so even for class C. So the point to note here is that whenever we create a constraint of type new, we expect that the class should be having the public parameterless constructor. Now let's see the combination of generic constraint. So I have taken an example where I have an interface iBooking and a class tennis. The clay code booking inherits from tennis. The hard code booking inherits from tennis and it implements iBooking. But if you notice here, I have created a private constructor here. So the moment I have created a constructor, private constructor here, so there is no public parameterless constructor here. Point to be noted. And grass code booking inherits from tennis and implements iBooking. So here, as there is no constructor at all, so by default there is a public parameterless constructor here. Now I am creating a class constraint by combination, so I am putting three constraints here. If you see, the first constraint is it is of type tennis and it has to implement this iBooking, and one more constraint is it is of type new. So when I create this particular class passing clay code booking, so is it going to work? Clay code booking, is clay code booking satisfying all these three constraints? Let's see. Clay code booking, if I go here, it satisfies the first constraint, but where is this iBooking? iBooking is not there, so it is going to fail. So if you see here, there is no iBooking. Now if I pass hard code booking, is this going to work? Is this satisfying these three conditions? Now if I see hard code booking, it implements this tennis. So hard code booking inherits from tennis, it implements iBooking. But if you see the third constraint, that is new, is it having the public parameterless constructor? No, it is not having public parameterless constructor, rather it is having private constructor. So even this fails. But what if I pass grass code booking? Is it satisfying these three conditions here? So it is having this tennis iBooking, and as there is no constructor at all, so there is a public parameterless constructor, so this is going to work. Whatever we have discussed so far, let's see the programming. So I have created a print method here, if you see, of type T, and I'm just printing that obj. If I pass as constraint string and boolean, so in the very first part I'm just passing string and boolean, and in the next part if you see I have omitted the constraint here, string and boolean. So it is absolutely optional here because compiler is going to infer it if it is string or if it is boolean. So now if I print this, I'm going to get the same output. So I get Anurag and true here, Anurag and true here. Okay, so now let's come to the next part, that is generic constraint new. So I've created a class A, class B. Class A doesn't have any constructor at all, so by default we are going to have public parameterless constructor here. Class B is having parameterized constructor, class C is having private constructor here. Now I have created a generic constraint by CTOR of type T. The constraint, I'm forcing it to be a type of new, and I'm creating a new obj method and I'm returning the instance of the T. Now when I create a generic constraint by CTOR by passing A, it is absolutely going to work because it by default we are having the public parameterless constructor, but for B and C we don't have the public parameterless constructor, so it is going to give me the compile time error. So if you see here, it says the B must be a non-abstract type with a public parameterless constructor in order to use it as parameter T in the generic type or method. Let's come to the last example, that is combination of the constraint. So I've created an interface iBooking, the class tennis. Clay code booking inherits this tennis class. Hard code booking inherits from tennis and implements iBooking, but it has a private constructor. And grass code booking inherits from tennis and implements iBooking, but doesn't have any constructor at all. So by default it is going to have the public parameterless constructor. And I have created a constraint by combination class, and there are three constraints here: tennis, iBooking and new. Now when I create new constraint by combination clay code booking, it is not going to work because clay code booking doesn't implement iBooking. And hard code booking, if you see, though it implements iBooking and it inherits tennis class, but there is no public parameterless constructor. And now if you see grass code booking, it works because it inherits this tennis class and implements this iBooking, and also when it is of type new, because I don't have any constructor at all here, so by default I have a public parameterless constructor. So that's the reason grass code booking works.